それではですね、ここからはメドテックアクチュエーターの中の方にご登壇いただきます。最初にですね、メドテックアクチュエーター CEO のバズ様よりご挨拶、またその後、スタッフの方からですね、今回のプログラムについてご説明いただきます。ではよろしくお願いいたします。
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody. It's wonderful to meet you. Good afternoon. I'd like to thank the organisers, our friends, our colleagues for hosting us today at JETRO, OCCI, OBTA. It's wonderful to be here in Osaka. Wonderful to be able to talk to you about the MedTech Actuator and a little bit about our plans here in the region and Japan. I'll share my screen. I've got a presentation to go through and a few videos to show as well. So just please bear with me just one moment. Great. So we're really here to talk about how to think about catalyzing health innovation. And specifically, when we talk about health, we're talking about medical technology, biotechnology, and health and well-being technology. Before we start, please just allow me to show you a quick video of the MedTech Actuator.
MedTech innovation is a vast and complex space. The MedTech Actuator surrounds startups with an extensive network of partners across the entire commercialization pathway. Welcome to your village.
So perhaps just a couple of introductions for this afternoon's speakers. So here on my right, we have Maria Pelapas, who is the head of programs based in Australia. And on my left, we have Joshua Lim, who is the general manager of Singapore and is based in Singapore. My name is Buzz Palmer. I'm the CEO of the MedTech Actuator. What we'd like to do this afternoon is perhaps just take you through a few elements of the MedTech Actuator, some of our programs as well, and then two programs that we're looking to do here in Japan. So I'll start the conversation by introducing you to the MedTech Actuator. I'll hand over to Maria, over to Joshua, and then I'll finish off the conversation with a little bit of case study discussion and a little bit of sort of next steps in terms of how we should think about taking this health innovation to the next level. So we're an organization that's been around for 4 years. We launched essentially to fill a gap in the market where we see incredible technologies playing in a space that has incredible health capability. But there's this kind of gap in the middle of how do startups, how does innovation take itself to commercial opportunity, and how do companies then scale into products, into growth, into global opportunities. So we have a number of different programs, but from a higher level perspective, in the last 4 years, we've got about 60 active programs in our portfolio. They've raised $75 million between them, and that's worth noting that that $75 million is early stage capital. We have a number of startups now that are raising Series A and Series B, and actually in the next 12 months alone, $167 million of capital is predicted to be raised by those startups at Series A and Series B, which is quite significant. Many jobs have been created, and actually we've developed a really phenomenal network of businesses, founders, clinicians, in our system. And it's really important to note that any kind of contribution to a startup success needs the ecosystem to work effectively and needs all the elements to come together to create a streamlined pathway for startups to achieve really good things. One thing that's worth noting, and one thing that's really clear, and one thing that we've noticed in our years of being able to do this, is that you need partners from all dimensions of the ecosystem, the large corporates that are able to help generate distribution, that are able to help with manufacturing, that are able to advise, as well as the early stage businesses, the universities, the hospitals, where the innovation comes from, and all the bits in the middle as well. So we've got a number of different foundation partners that work with us quite closely. And then we have another 85 partners that are in the service provision part of the ecosystem, and they're really important. It's really important to make sure that when we think about health innovation, when we think of whether it's a biotechnology, whether it's a medical device for a cardiac and implant brain, that we have all the knowledge and all the access around us so that we can very easily facilitate connections so that the startups has the ability to create a more streamlined approach to their market plan. I thought what I would do now is just talk through our programs and what they do, and then we'll focus on two of the specific programs that we're launching here in Japan. So this is an interesting slide, and hopefully it makes a bit of sense, but allow me just to walk through it with you just now. So when we think about technology and when we think about the product production line, we tend to use the TRL, the technology readiness level scale, which essentially tells us how advanced or how mature is a particular technology. So if we think about TRL1, it's an idea. It's something I've written on a piece of paper. It's a hypothesis, perhaps a proof of principle concept, but the technology is really, really very immature. TRL9 means we're good, we're on market, we're scaling, we're growing, we have a fully developed, a fully articulated product on the marketplace. So when we think about TRL1 to 3 in this early part of the graph, that tends to be around the knowledge development area. So this is usually within hospitals, within universities, within research institutes, where the main funding parties to that are through governments. So national funding research schemes that contribute to that university R&D. And then what we see is we have early stage accelerators in universities that are helping to filter some of those really good opportunities coming through. At the other end of the scale, TRL 7, 8, 9, we have a very developed part of the market. Lots of venture capitalists, the business development growth side of it, and we have a really good, capable system there. The market failure that we tend to find, especially in healthcare, is this kind of middle bit, this 4 to 7 region, where a startup is extremely high risk. The funding is very, very difficult to get because the startups are so high risk, and the technologies, the IP around that could be quite immature. And so this is the market failure that we see, and this is specifically where we start playing in the MedTech Actuator with some of our flagship programs. We've taken a very broad approach to how we think about our programmatic concepts within the MedTech Actuator. The first program that we launched was the Accelerator program, which is really designed, it's a 12-month program that is designed to help startups achieve significant success. So they go from pre-seed to seed. There's an exclusive VC fund attached to that as well. And that's kind of the middle ground of where a startup is launching. If we go back in time a little bit as well, we have the Origin program, which is very much for early stage businesses. We have Scholars. The Access APAC is specific to Singapore. It's enabling startups to growth. And then we have the Global Navigator as well. So I might just go through these in a little bit of detail, but ultimately when we think about TRL 1 to 9, we have 5 programs that are designed to try and attempt to influence, to help to catalyze entrepreneurs, founders, startups in all the phases of getting their products to market. So the first project, the first program that we have is a scholarship and fellowship program. This is really directed and aimed to those that are in universities and hospitals that are doing some research. They could be master's students, they could be PhDs, postdocs, and the fellowship is from the more prestigious, distinguished professors, associate professors, doctors that have a number of years of experience in research. Part of the challenge has always been, how do we get this amazing research into the commercial space? And it's always people. It's people that are going to do that. It's individuals that are going to do that. And so by giving the scientists, the researchers, the clinicians, just the knowledge and the capability to take that next level, that next leap of faith through a guided, facilitated program is key. So these are 2 annual programs that we run, and they're extremely useful for enabling those creative scientists, those commercial clinicians, just the chance to explore in a very safe environment, surrounded by capability mentors, and guided through the next phase. And there's capital available as well for those participants in those programs. I'm just going to touch on this briefly because Maria will talk about it in just a moment, and some of the programs we're launching in Japan. But essentially, the Origin program is really designed at the kind of next level researcher or garage inventor or clinician that have gone a little bit further than just an idea. They've actually jotted down some things. They've done a little bit of work on it. They think they have something that might be commercial and they want to test it, but they want to test it in a safe environment. And that's essentially what the Origin program does. The way we think about founders is that we think they're superheroes. And we think it's really important to classify them as superheroes because some of the technologies that they're developing, some of the products that they're enabling save the lives of many people around the world, or they help humans flourish in lots of different ways, whether it's through diagnostics, whether it's through disease prevention, whether it's through enabling a healthier, happier lifestyle through a well-being technology. And these are really important. And I think We think all startup founders are superheroes. In fact, we all have our own little superhero names. It's probably not appropriate to talk about it online, but we certainly do. So we will talk about this in a little bit more detail in just a moment.
And now I'm here to present you Origin Japan, which is connected to the program that we run in Australia called Origin. So Buzz has been talking about our funders being superheroes, and we wanted to start with a video that we just shot this year with the founders in Melbourne, and hope you to inspire you with that video. Hopefully that was inspirational, and you actually were able to see some of the founders that went through Origin program last year, and they are now pursuing their startups as part of the Accelerator program. And one of those founders also won the Origin prize last year and got $10,000 as a prize to develop their idea into a business. So that was a quick introduction into what you might experience in the program, and I'll talk a little bit about it in detail. So I'll start with talking about Australia. Why it is an interesting place to pursue your idea and your startup. Australia and Melbourne specifically is a thriving hub for life sciences and for MedTech commercialization space. So over the last 5-7 years, we've seen a significant growth in venture capital available to startups. We've also seen some great startups being born in the region. The ecosystem is thriving. There are multiple accelerators, innovation hubs, incubators available to startups at this point. And Australia has been producing unicorns quite actively over the last 2-3 years, starting with about 1 or 2 5 years ago, and now into 6-7, which was happening quite quickly over the last couple of years. So we think it's a great ecosystem to be in, and we would very much welcome all the future founders and founders in Japan to consider Australia as a hub for their businesses. And during the program, if you apply and you're selected, you'll have an opportunity to learn more about Australia and see Melbourne and participate in our activities, including the showcase that Buzz was talking about. So I'll talk about MedTech Actuator Origin Japan in detail now. So like we mentioned, it's an early stage innovation program that supports health innovation across Asia Pacific. So our expertise is in health commercialization. So we help health tech, biotech, and medtech startups succeed, and we know how to do it. But we also know that it starts with just an idea that you develop into a business. So Origin helps future founders, researchers, clinicians who have that idea that they want to pursue and turn it into a startup, to explore the Asia Pacific market and explore Australian market specifically for commercialization of that innovation. So Origin Japan program will consist of 3 parts. The first one is a 3-day intensive boot camp or sprint in Osaka, where founders learn about pitching, they learn a little bit about market validation, they learn a little bit about customers and payers and beneficiaries of their technology, future technology product or future service, the one that they're trying to commercialize. So we structure the program in a way that founders are able to come with this idea, but then turn it into a story that makes sense from a business perspective. So we're helping them turn it into something that would be interested to partners, to investors, to business angels at the next stage, and to be interesting to the ecosystem in general and the market in Asia Pacific outside of Japan. The second part of the program is in Melbourne. So the 3 qualifying teams from Japan will join us in Origin Australia program in Melbourne, where startups are able to pitch their idea to the audience, to us at MedTech Actuator, to our partners, and then they learn from that feedback and they learn how to present their idea in a way that makes sense to the audience, to potential partners, to potential payers, to potential business angels or investors. And the third part is one selected startup will return to Australia in December to pitch at the MedTech Actuator Showcase, which is a gala dinner event with an opportunity to win one of the prizes that we will have at this event. So it could be $10,000, it could be in-kind prizes. But most importantly, it's an opportunity to present your future startup or your idea that you're pursuing to a great audience of experts in the field, industry experts, clinicians, partners, business angels, commercialization experts. There'll be a selected group of interesting people that can help you take this idea further. So once again, about the program experience, this is really about turning your idea into a startup at the next stage. So if you're a researcher, if you're a clinician, if you think you can be a future founder and you have this idea that you really want to pursue, you want to learn how to commercialize this idea, and this idea is about making lives better for patients, it's about improving healthcare system, it's about medical innovation. So this is the place for you. We will help you take this idea further. You get to learn from our experts during the program. You get to validate your idea through multiple pitching rounds. Like I said, there will be pitching opportunities during this program to present your idea to the audience. You also get to connect with other entrepreneurs and other founders, because it's going to be an amazing group of people, all of them pursuing this innovation, all of them trying to commercialize their ideas. It's a great opportunity to connect with like-minded founders and startups. And you get to transform your idea, hopefully, into a startup and pursue this as a business later. Once again, about program activities. So it starts with a 3-day of workshops in Osaka. And then the selected startups will join us in Australia for 5 days, again, for intensive sprint of information sessions, workshops, seminars, and pitching rounds, including rapid fire round, which is a 1-minute pitching round with 1-minute pitch. Semi-final, where again an opportunity to pitch your idea to the audience. It will be organized in Melbourne. It will be an event for about 100 people, friendly representatives of the ecosystem. So you get an opportunity to pitch at that stage to about 100 people in Melbourne. And the final will happen at the showcase in December. So like we were talking about, this gala dinner event, black tie, a selected group of angel investors, business angels, partners, ecosystem representatives, they're all invited to this dinner, which where you get an opportunity to pitch, but also win one of the prizes. So here are the key dates for the program. Applications are currently open and you are invited to apply, and we will be absolutely thrilled to learn more about your innovation. So I encourage everyone to apply. And then we will have the bootcamp, 3-day bootcamp, which is an intensive workshop in Osaka in September. And then the selected teams will join us in Melbourne in October, including for the semi-final, which is an event for about 100 people. And the selected startup will get to pitch to our audience on the 1st of December at the MedTech Actuator showcase. Talking about eligibility, so who can apply and who can participate in that program. So if you have a research project, idea, or innovation in human health, if you are interested in learning more about commercialization, not only in Australia, but across Asia Pacific, if you are able to attend this program both in Osaka and in Melbourne, and if you are based in Japan, or at least one of your team members is based in Japan, we encourage you to apply. And like I said, we'll be happy to consider your application and learn more about innovation and learn more about idea that you are pursuing. Next slide. Yeah. So here you can see the application link. If you scan the QR code, you will get access to the application form. Applications are open starting today and up to the 1st of September. If you feel like that form maybe is too complicated or you have some questions for us on how to fill it out, please reach out. We'll be able to help you with that. And in terms of the next steps, so this is a picture that was just taken a month ago, and it looks quite freezing because it's middle of winter in Australia. But yeah, it is Australia. It will be warm in December and in October when you go, and if you decide to participate in this program. So this is a picture of our 7th cohort of the Accelerator program that just started in July. If you participate in Origin Japan and Origin, and if you want to take this idea further, next year you can apply to our accelerator program that lasts for 12 months, and it comes with a bit of capital as well. So up to $200,000 Australian dollars is available to applicants and participants of the accelerator program. It will be our cohort 8. They're very excited about the next cohort of startups. Just before I hand it over to Joshua, I want to say that if you feel that you have questions at this point, or you'd like to meet, or you would like us to help you with the application, we are here during this week, and I have some time available tomorrow to meet with potential applicants and future founders. If you want to talk more about Asia Pacific market, if you want to ask whether this is the right program for you, whether you want to learn more about MedTech Actuator and actually meet us in person, maybe order coffee and connect and learn more about us, please reach out to us. We're happy to do it. Happy to do it for you. Happy to meet with you while we're in Osaka. And I'm handing over to Joshua now.
All right, thanks, Maria. Hi, everyone. My name is Joshua Hajime Mashite. I would want to tell you about the programs that we are designing, especially the Global Navigator program, and bringing you all the way across the other end of the commercialization journey. We are starting to grow, starting to internationalize your startup. So once again, my name is Joshua. I'm actually the general manager at the Singapore office, and I'm here to talk about the Global Navigator program. So first off, to introduce you to Singapore, why Singapore, and why should you think about expanding to Singapore? So Singapore has a track record in encouraging and commercializing innovation, and we are also very business friendly. So for example, you just need to pay $10, spend 10 minutes to register your company on Accra, and there you have a company in Singapore. So this is how easy it is to set up a business in Singapore, and it's also very easy to do business. So a lot of infrastructure has been created to help you commercialize your technology in Singapore. Singapore is also first in Asia for innovation, and we have many success cases. We have about 15 unicorns coming from Singapore in healthcare, and we are also first in Asia for talent. So Singapore has no natural resources except for human capital, and we have invested a lot of money in universities in Singapore to help to develop this talent. So Singapore also protects your innovation and intellectual property very well. For example, some of the people running the World IPO office is actually from Singapore as well. So this is a testament to our strength in protecting your commercialization, innovation in Singapore. So Singapore has a lot of grants and infrastructure. So this is some of the ecosystems for you. So to start off, to protect your technology or to develop your technology, we have a grant called SSG Tech, right? Startup SG Tech, and this gives you up to $500,000 for you to collaborate with a local stakeholder and develop your technology in Singapore. If you work with some of the hospitals, we also give you about $200,000, or give the hospital $200,000 for them to work with you as well to develop your technology. So once you actually develop your technology, you want to set up a business in Singapore, some of the grants that you can actually apply for are called Startup SG Equity, where the government actually matches $1 for $1. So for example, if you raise $100,000 from an investor, the Singapore government will match it with giving you $100,000 as well, so that you get $200,000 in total. Some of the companies may or may not want to raise funds in Singapore. That's okay. But if you do need a working capital loan, you can actually loan up to $50,000 from the local banks. And this is actually underwritten by the Singapore government so that you can start your initial batch manufacturing, or you can start, paying for your clinical trials, and you just pay this microloan back to the bank as well. So Singapore is also a very business-friendly environment that I mentioned just now. So Singapore is also part of the ASEAN Association. So ASEAN stands for Association of Southeast Asian Nations, and we do have free trade agreements with at least 10 of them. And we have also harmonized regulatory standards across the ASEAN nations. So what this means is that if you get regulatory approval in Singapore, it's easy for you to sell in the rest of the ASEAN nations as well. So now that you're thinking of doing your business in Singapore, the next thing you want is to come to Singapore. So for manpower-wise, we are also partners with Enterprise Singapore, so MedTech Actuator ourselves. We are partners with Enterprise Singapore, and we can actually endorse your Entree Pass. Entree Pass is a visa, especially for foreign entrepreneurs, to come to Singapore and actually do business in Singapore. It's both cheaper and faster, and actually targeted at owners of foreign businesses with innovations in healthcare. So this is for the owners. If you do want to bring your staff to Singapore, we have another grant called Tech at SG. So this is the middle grant, and this helps you to bring your staff to Singapore as well. And we are working very closely with the Economic Development Board of Singapore to be able to enable your staff to move to Singapore too. This is some of the program experience that you go through. So startups will be able to learn from industry-led programs that's delivered by experts and the MedTech Actuator. Startups will get to network with both clinical and commercial stakeholders, pitch to investors, and expand into Australia and Singapore in a very efficient manner. So this is some of the program dates. Applications are open from today all the way to September 1st. And the three segments would be the Osaka segment would be 13th to 14th of October. After that, you'll come to Singapore from November 23rd to 26th, and then quickly go over to Australia from the 27th of November all the way to the 2nd of December. All these three segments are actually in person, so we do expect you to be able to attend the segments in person in Osaka, in Singapore, and in Australia. Some of the eligibility criteria is that you must be a growth stage company, or you must be ready to expand. You need to be very interested in the Australian and the Singapore ecosystem. We would be asking you for your intents, or what do you want to do in both systems, and we'll be designing the program around you as well to facilitate your outcomes. So do make sure that you are able to attend all the activities both in Osaka, in Singapore, and in Australia. And one of the qualifying criteria for attending this program is that you must have a team member living in Japan or be based in Japan. So this is all the eligibility criteria. If you do have any further questions, do reach out to us or Jethro, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Once again, this is MedTech Actuator Global Navigator Japan, and we'll be looking forward to having you with us. Thank you. I'll now hand the time over to Bas for him to talk about the success cases.
Great, thank you. So hopefully both programs are inspiring and of interest to you. We're very excited about being able to bring those programs to Japan, and we really hope that you utilize the opportunity as well to, first of all, if you're in the research early stage space, to go through the origin, to explore that, and to test your own capability. And if you're a growth stage startup, then choose the Global Navigator to explore other markets as well. And as Joshua said, it can be quite strategic as well. The leap from Singapore into many other nations, or the leap from Australia into other nations as well. So it's a stepping stone to a more global based organization. I thought what I might do is I might just talk a little bit about a couple of portfolio companies that we have. We have 60 in total, but I thought it might just be nice to give you a flavor of some of the companies that exist in our portfolio, and all of them have come from a very, very early stage. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about sort of next phases and how to think about the trends that are happening in healthcare at the moment. So I might just talk about sort of two of them, but you know, one of our startups, Nutromics, is possibly going to be a unicorn in early next year. But to give you a flavor of the type of technology that they have a sensor-based technology that utilizes a particular IIR concept to look at molecular structures within the blood to determine things like drug development, to determine things like diabetes or cancer. I think what we're seeing as part of the world of healthcare, and this is where Nutromics are really sort of fitting in their position, is that healthcare is changing in so many different ways. Traditionally, you know, if you were ill, you went to a hospital, and that's how most business models work from a delivery perspective. But actually, the trends are changing quite dramatically, and everyday people, like those three people on the stage, are looking to determine and to have access to our own data. We want to have a more informed choice about how we structure our own health. COVID has shown us that access to health is actually can be quite difficult. Getting into a hospital can be difficult. Getting to see a doctor can be really difficult. And so we're all thinking, well, how do we look after our own well-being? How do I know individually if I've got an ailment that's going to happen to me 18 months before I see a symptom? And this is the way the trends, the markets are working. And Nutromics is part of that in trying to deliver a solution so that individuals have access to their own health data. They can make informed choices about data. And if something suspicious happens within their body, they've got, using an AI system, they have the ability to determine through real time, a long time before they show any signs or symptoms. So this is some of the these are some of the technologies that we're seeing in Nutromics, very much sits in that space. Vital Trace is an organization that, once again, was very, very, very early. They came after the biodesign course in Australia, and biodesign is a wonderful feeder to the type of startups that we see. But they came out with just a group of friends that had identified a problem in the market, and this particular problem was in pediatrics. And actually, it was during labor, birth, and the high cases of cesareans. And how do you work out whether or not a baby, and therefore making an informed clinical decision as to whether or not you do cesarean or not do cesarean. And the gold standard treatment right now is a screw that goes into the head of the baby, and can be quite a challenging situation for mother, for baby, and for clinician. So Vital Trace have developed a sensor which actually just sits on the scalp of the baby and measures a particular lactate concept within the baby to determine whether or not there's a stress related issue, and therefore being able to reduce the need for cesareans. So both startups here are sensor-based technologies. They have their own proprietary sensor technology. They'll be manufacturing sensors as well as a product, as well as a digital element around their technologies. Well, in fact, this is what we see in medtech as a general rule. Most diagnostics, most devices, most implants have both a physical hardware and a digital concept as well. And this is just the way that the world is moving. It's a far more sophisticated and accurate way of being able to determine particular elements of data. Ceteris, great company, they've developed a 100% effective face mask against COVID and augmented bionics. We're developing a external cochlear transitioning technology for those that were unable to have the cochlear implants. This is an external headphone that stimulates the cochlea externally. I thought what I might just talk about in the last few moments is some of what we see in healthcare, and what does the future hold, and how can we encourage you, motivate, inspire future founders and startups in Japan to think about healthcare innovation, to take this road of human flourishing and impact. And that's a really important concept, and the future is quite exciting, I think, in healthcare. The next 10 years, I think we'll see a lot of changes in healthcare. History shows us that post-war and post-pandemic, we see a decade of innovation in health, and we're right at the beginning of that moment right now. So we're seeing all this different change happening. We're seeing investment from many different countries in health, and now's the time to really be part of this sort of health pivot trend that we're seeing. And going to my earlier point, we're seeing patients individuals, customers, consumers wanting access to their own healthcare, wanting to know way in advance whether they've got a cardiac disease, whether they've got the likelihood of diabetes, whether their walking style dictates a particular type of orthopedic disease. We all want to know this in advance so we can make informed changes. And so healthcare is becoming more of a consumer part of the market as well, which doesn't fit traditional business models. But traditional business models are, I'm ill, I'm not very well, I'll go to a hospital. If I'm ill, I can then claim on insurance, or I can get treated by the hospital. But how do you do that for those that are that are not ill and in the well-being and want to look after their health? And this is the way that the market trends are working. And many technologies that we see are things like wearables, they're things like patches. They're designed for us to be healthy and well before we see a sign of illness. And I think what's happened over COVID is that there's a complete new awareness, and people have a different insight into their own health, the fragility of the healthcare system, the differences of not being able to access health in a particular kind of way. Even in some cases using existing wearables to determine whether you have COVID or to determine whether you're ill. And so we've all got this new awareness of health. It's right on the forefront of our minds. And so all of a sudden, investment in health is the greatest we've ever seen it. People's focus towards health it's right on the tip of the tongue. Everyone's experienced it in their own way. And so what have we learned? We've learned that actually the health of humans is critical. And there's no more critical part of innovation, in my opinion, than health. Keeping humans living happier, healthier, longer. Giving them the ability to access technologies, the impact is incredible and great. And so these are the things that we've learned, and hopefully, and I imagine in Japan as well, you've also had these insights to that. One thing that we've learned, I think, in healthcare is that healthcare is a privilege. And so there's a big drive right now to making sure that healthcare is available for all. So how do we design technologies that have an impact for everybody? Not just for people in our country, but for people around the world. How do you make sure that health is an option for all those? We've also learned over the last couple of years that social identities are really important too. We're all part of a society, and that society is important. And when a pandemic comes, how do we keep in touch? How are we able to make sure that our health, our mental health, our physical health is maintained? And I don't think any of us quite realized the effects that a pandemic would have on us until it actually happened. In Australia last week, there was a report released that 20% of all young people have long-term mental health problems now due to COVID. Pre-COVID, it was a bit of a taboo. It was a stigma to talk about mental health, but now we talk about it openly. So how do we make sure that the future of healthcare also considers mental health? And these are a lot of the trends that we're seeing in the market right now. We've seen increased violence as well because of COVID, both politically, domestically, and across the working. And certainly from my perspective, I'm from Britain, but I live in Australia and haven't managed to see my family for 3 years. And so I've got a very young family, haven't been able to see their grandparents for 3 years. And I think over that time, you realize actually family is really important, and not being able to see family affects your health in so many different ways. So all of a sudden, all these different insights, all these feelings, all these thoughts, all these experiences that we've had have really sort of changed our perspective on life. And we have a very different philosophy on how the future of health should look like. And it's this moment now, this is the moment right now that we need to capture that. How do we make sure that through the Origin program, that during the last couple of years of COVID, you've experienced something, you wish there's something existed, you wish there was a technology to solve that, you wish that this existed in the healthcare part of the market or the well-being market, you wish there was something that would help you as an individual. Well, this is the moment to really try and test that idea. Use the time to have some clarity, to think about the opportunity that this might have, and to go through the Origin program to see whether or not your idea has some commercial opportunity. I think we're going to see a real big drive over the next 3 to 5 years in healthcare products, in health tech, MedTech products, and it'd be wonderful to have those technologies from a global perspective coming out of Japan too. And I do think we're on this precipice of change right now. We're going to see multiple dimensions of new business models, multiple dimensions of new products and services available, and not just aimed at patients. This whole new consumer market for health tech is a real thing, and we're excited to see that trend. And nobody really knows what it's going to look like, but we all know it's going to happen at some point. And so it's important to be part of that. So what should we do? Ultimately, if you have an idea, and you want to be involved, if you are a growth company, you want to go global, the future of health is now. So my advice is to really get involved, to be part of this new opportunity, and to utilize the 2 programs that we're launching here to be part of that. One thing that we do know is that health is genuinely and focus around impact. Impact is so important. The ability to save a human's life, the ability to improve a human's life, the ability to make a human happier is such an important part of health. It's why we're all involved in health innovation. We want to create a better world for humans, a world in which they're healthier. And so being driven by impact is really important. Many other startups are driven by a different kind of impact. And the impact could be financial, the impact could be economic, the impact could be something else. For us, it's really about sustainability and humans. And I don't think there's any greater impact than enabling a human to live better or to live longer. And so we have a different kind of drive when it comes to innovation, and that's really important to know. We also know that in healthcare, it's going to be a technology-driven future. Everything is around data. How do we access data from our individual bodies, from our local surroundings? How do we access trends in a real-time manner? Using technology so that we can make informed choices, and clinicians can make informed choices over a long period of time. And this is really important, and this is the trend that we're seeing. And the other thing that's absolutely clear is that we need more entrepreneurs to do that. We need entrepreneurs that have a clinical, scientific, engineering background to really drive this new future of innovation. It only takes a simple idea to change the face of healthcare. And you know, we've all experienced such a traumatic last couple of years. Well, how can we find that? How can we make that an inspiring experience to drive something new, to take a change, to pivot what we've previously been doing and create a better world for so many? So driving this future is key. We need entrepreneurs to really focus and to take this leap of faith by using programs like the Global Navigator and the Origin program in a secure, supported manner, to make sure that you have a way to do that. And I think there's a new style of leadership about to arise as well, a new leadership concept. How are we going to change? You know, the cultures are so different, the generations are so different. The generations that are existing below me, the Zeds, the millennials, for instance. Technology is part of their everyday existence. They strive with technology. They use technology in everything that they do. And so there's going to be a new type of leadership, a new interaction, a new way of thinking about healthcare. Gamification, for instance, is part of a new leadership approach as well. But for many, it's about creating a new path as well. And so having this entrepreneurial experience to do something new, to do something impactful, and to do something that is really meaningful in the world, I think is amazing. And we encourage anybody on this call or anybody that might be watching this video, if you have this desire to change the face of healthcare, to be involved in entrepreneurship, to move an innovation that you've been doing research on, we really encourage you to get involved and to get in touch. And what's really important is work out what drives you. Because actually, if you're going to go into a world of startups, it's a roller coaster. There's no doubt about it. The highs are extremely high and the lows are extremely low. So working out what drives you, what is it that makes you want to achieve success? And there's lots of different things for that. For me, it's impact. It's the ability to create a change for somebody else. For others, it might be financial freedom, the ability to drive Ferraris and live in the Maldives. For others, it might be purely about curiosity. I want to do something different. I want a challenge in my life. But whatever it is that drives you, you've got to be able to hone that passion, because you'll need that for your startup venture, for your ability to succeed. And so whatever it is, find it, hone it, and drive it. And the other thing is to be a pirate. What we tend to find is that entrepreneurs, the new leaders in innovation, they're pirates. They're not Navy officers. They're not being told what to do. They're changing the status quo. They're challenging the existing system. They're making things a little bit different. They're creating the future. The destiny is completely different to what it might have been before. So we're looking for those people that are happy to push the boundaries, that are looking to create a different kind of change in the marketplace, that are looking to take technology into a direction that we've never thought about. So being a pirate in the business world, these are the type of people that will really benefit from both these programs. And actually, this is your time. This is the time. We're at the precipice of change in healthcare. Funding is incredible. We've just had this awful pandemic. Now is the time to do something different, to drive a different type of innovation, to take a different path towards a healthcare change, because I've never seen a better time to create change in healthcare. And as I mentioned before, and as we've all talked about, all superheroes have a beginning, and perhaps today is the beginning of your superhero journey. We'd love to know more about it. We'd love to talk to you about it. We'd love you to be part of our programs, and we'd love to be part of your journey as well. And my final slide is basically just to say it's really time for the next level. I think we're going to see that across the world. We're certainly seeing it in Australia and Singapore. We're seeing it in Japan, and we'd love to be part of that story as well, enabling entrepreneurs, founders, innovators to make that change, to take the step into being a pirate. And we're happy to buy the hat as well if you want, and a parrot on your shoulder if that makes you feel good. But we're happy to support you in your journey. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you to Maria and Joshua, and for all the team here, our supporters, our collaborators, and our friends for enabling us to be here today. We truly appreciate it. And we do have a bit of time for question and answers as well, if that's useful. But as mentioned before, Maria and Joshua are here for the week in Osaka, and very happy to have a conversation with you. Please do just reach out when you're ready. Thank you.